Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making stuffed shells. This is a classic Italian-American dish. The shells are stuffed with a blend of 3 cheeses and is then baked in my delicious meat sauce. I've placed a link for my meat sauce recipe in the description. Now let's get going on the prep. We're going to start by grating a 1-pound block of mozzarella cheese. You're going to take 3/4 of the mozzarella cheese and place it into a large mixing bowl. The rest we're going to save to top our shells with before they go into the oven. Next, we're going to grate a 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. We're going to add this to the bowl as well. And finally, we'll need a 1/2 cup of Pecorino cheese. Next, we're going to add 1 pound of ricotta cheese. We're going to need a 1/2 cup of minced parsley. You really only want to get the leaves. You don't want any stems in this. Stems are not your friend here. So now let's give this a mince. When mincing herbs, I find it very helpful to kind of gather them all up and just form them into a ball. And then we're going to add the minced parsley to our cheese. Next, we're going to add the zest of 1 whole lemon. I find that the lemon really gives this dish a nice punch. And lastly, we're going to add 2 eggs. The eggs are important here because it acts as a binder for the cheese. Without the eggs, the cheese will just run out of the shells. So now let's give this a good mix. You want to mix it until you can no longer see the egg. Next up, we'll get some water boiling so we can cook our pasta. With your water boiling, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of salt. And a drop of oil. The oil is going to help keep the pasta from sticking. We're going to cook our pasta for half the time it states on the box. This box of pasta says to cook for 9 minutes, so I'm only going to cook for about 5. When we put the shells into the oven to bake, the pasta will continue to cook. You want to keep stirring the pasta to make sure that it doesn't stick in the pot. When you take your pasta out of the water, you want to use the spider. That way you can drain it as much as possible. And then you're going to place on a towel-lined baking sheet so it can drain and dry completely. You want to spread out the pasta on the towel, making sure that they're not touching, that way they don't stick together. If you see any water pooling in the bottom of the shell, you can flip the shell over to let that water drain out. We'll let these cool a little bit before we stuff them with our cheese. After your cheeses are all mixed together, we're going to need to transfer it to either a piping bag Or if you don't have a piping bag, we can just use a regular old Ziploc bag. You're going to seal up the bag, and you want to try to get as much air out as possible. Twist the top. Cut the end off of one of the corners. Now let's get our pan ready. In the bottom, we're going to put about 2 to 3 cups of our meat sauce. This will help prevent the shells from sticking. Then we're going to take our shells and we're going to pipe the cheese into the bottom. This right here is the definition of manual labor. So, if you got some kids, this is a great task for them to do. Or if you got some friends that you don't particularly like. Now that we got all of our shells in there, we're going to put a light layer of sauce on top of the shells. And then we're going to take our leftover mozzarella cheese and sprinkle it on top. Next, we're going to cover with foil. And then we're going to place it into an oven that's been preheated to 400 degrees. And we're going to bake it covered for 30 minutes. Then we're going to take the foil off and bake for another 15 minutes, or until the cheese is golden and bubbly.